I never thought I'd be the kind of person who cheated. I never thought I'd betray someone I loved. But sometimes, things don't turn out the way you expect. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking it'll never happen to you, but it did, and here I am. Tom and I had been married for almost 5 years. In the beginning, it was all so easy. He was my best friend, my partner. We had our own little world, our own routine, and it felt comfortable. But somewhere along the way, things started to feel stale. Not that I didn't love him. I did. But there was this nagging feeling in the back of my mind, this sense of something missing. I couldn't really put my finger on it, but it was there. And then there was him, Jack. I first met Jack through a colleague at work. He was new in town, just transferred from the West Coast, and somehow, our paths crossed during a meeting. I remember the first time he looked at me. It wasn't just a casual glance. It was like he was really seeing me, in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. At first, it was nothing. Just polite conversation. But the more we talked, the more I realized there was something about him that I couldn't ignore. He was confident, outgoing, and had this effortless charm that I couldn't help but be drawn to. It was a change from Tom, who had gotten a bit too comfortable, too predictable. I loved Tom, but I had to admit, I was starting to crave excitement again. A few weeks after we'd met, Jack texted me out of the blue, asking if I wanted to grab a drink after work. I should have said no. I should have known better. But I didn't. I told myself it was just a drink. Just a friendly thing, nothing serious. Tom wouldn't even have to know. When I walked into the bar, Jack was already there, sitting at a table in the corner. His smile when he saw me was all confidence. He made me feel special in a way that felt thrilling. As we talked, I found myself laughing at things I hadn't laughed at in months. It felt good to be around someone who looked at me like I was new, like I was interesting again. The more we drank, the more that initial awkwardness between us faded, and it wasn't long before the conversation shifted. Jack leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You know," he said, with a smirk. "You're really beautiful, Liz." I didn't know how to respond to that. No one had said something like that to me in so long, and I felt this strange warmth spread through me. It wasn't just flattery, it was desire. And the way he looked at me made me feel like I was the only person in the room. I was hooked. I had to admit it to myself, I was enjoying this attention. It was new. It was exciting. Jack wasn't like Tom. Jack wasn't predictable. And for the first time in a long time, I felt wanted. And that feeling was like a drug I couldn't quit. I told myself I wasn't doing anything wrong. It was just drinks, just talking. But as the night wore on, and the alcohol made me loosen up, the tension between us grew. It wasn't just friendly anymore. His hand brushed against mine under the table, and the touch sent a jolt through me. It wasn't an accident. It was intentional, and I didn't pull away. "You're making me nervous," I said, trying to play it cool, but I could feel my pulse racing. I wasn't sure what was happening, but I couldn't stop it. He just smiled, that confident, knowing smile, and I knew then that I wasn't in control anymore. "You don't need to be nervous, Liz," Jack said softly, his fingers lingering on my hand. "You're not the only one feeling this." I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to pull away. I didn't want to stop. He leaned in closer, and before I knew it, his lips were on mine. It was electric. A surge of heat shot through me, and in that moment, everything else, everything that had been weighing on me, everything that had been missing, felt like it melted away. I should have stopped. I knew I should have. But I didn't. I couldn't. That night, I went back to Jack's place. We didn't talk much after that. Everything just felt automatic. Like we both knew what was going to happen, and neither of us had the will to stop it. When I woke up the next morning, I couldn't believe what I had done. But at the same time, I couldn't deny that it had felt good. Too good. The excitement, the passion, the sense of being seen and wanted. It all hit me like a wave. And I hated myself for it, but I also couldn't bring myself to regret it. Not yet. I knew I had to go home. Tom would be expecting me. I texted him on my way out. "Good morning, babe." Trying to keep things normal, but I felt sick to my stomach. The lie, the secret, weighed on me. I didn't know how to face Tom after what I had just done. How could I look him in the eye after betraying him like this? But that was the beginning. That was the start of the mess I had created. I told myself it was a one-time thing, that I wouldn't do it again. But I couldn't stop thinking about Jack. Every time I saw him, I felt that same rush, that same thrill. And that was when everything started to unravel. I should have stopped before it got this far. But somehow, I just kept going, and that night was the tipping point. The point where everything fell apart. It was a Saturday afternoon, and Tom was at work. I had planned everything so carefully. The lie, the excuse, the timing. It all had to be perfect. Jack and I had been talking about getting away for the weekend. Just the two of us. We had been planning it for a couple of days, and finally, everything fell into place. A little hotel out of town, a quiet weekend where we could be together without anyone asking questions. I had told Tom that I'd be spending the night at Sarah's place, that we were having a girls' weekend. He didn't question it. He trusted me. And why wouldn't he? We'd been together for years, and I had never given him a reason not to trust me. But that night, I was going to be with Jack. I had everything packed. I had even made sure to text Sarah to let her know I'd be out of touch for the night. Everything was set. Tom was working late, so I had plenty of time. I told him I was heading over to Sarah's place around 6, just as I always did when we had these girls' weekends. The plan was simple. I'd drive to Jack's, we'd have dinner, and then head to the hotel. Nothing could go wrong. But as I was getting ready to leave, I had a sudden panic. The nagging thought hit me like a wave. I forgot to text Tom goodnight. He always asked me to text him before bed. It had become part of our routine, a little ritual that kept us close, even after all these years. I wasn't sure why it had slipped my mind, but as I stood there, halfway out the door, I realized I couldn't just leave it. It felt too obvious. So, I quickly pulled out my phone and sent a quick message. "Good night, babe. Love you." I hit send and shoved my phone back in my bag, trying to shake off the guilt that was starting to creep up on me. But it was too late. The lie was already in motion, and I couldn't back out now. I told myself I deserved this. I deserved to feel wanted, to have someone make me feel alive again. And Jack did that. I drove to Jack's place, feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety. My heart was pounding in my chest as I pulled up to his apartment. I could feel the adrenaline pumping through my veins. But as soon as I saw him standing outside waiting for me, all those feelings melted away. The only thing that mattered now was him. We spent the evening together. Dinner, wine, talking. It was easy, effortless, like we had been doing this forever. And it felt like the rest of the world didn't exist. Just me and Jack. But as the night went on, I started to get nervous. Something about the situation felt wrong. The fact that I had lied to Tom, the fact that he was probably sitting at home thinking I was at Sarah's. It made my stomach turn. But I pushed those thoughts away. I couldn't let them ruin the night. Not now. We left for the hotel around midnight. I tried to keep my mind on Jack, on the thrill of being with him, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I had texted Tom, but he hadn't replied. He wasn't the type to go to bed without texting me back, and that nagging feeling kept creeping up. What if he knew? What if he was already suspicious? But as soon as I got to the hotel, everything else faded away. Jack was with me. The night was ours. I pushed all my worries to the back of my mind, focused on the moment, and tried to ignore the guilt gnawing at me. I woke up the next morning in Jack's arms, the sunlight creeping through the blinds. For a split second, I felt a sense of peace. But then reality hit. I needed to get home. Tom would be expecting me. I had promised him I'd be back early, and the last thing I wanted was for him to find out. I couldn't let him know what I had done. I quickly texted him, "Good morning, babe. I'll be home soon." But when I checked my phone again, I saw that I had missed a few texts from Tom. And there was something in his messages that made my stomach drop. He was asking where I was, asking if I was at Sarah's. And then, there was a final text. "Where are you? I'm coming to check on you." That was when the panic set in. Tom was on his way to Sarah's place. He had no idea I wasn't there. He had no idea where I actually was. My heart raced in my chest, and I suddenly felt exposed, vulnerable. I quickly threw on my clothes and told Jack I had to go. He looked at me, confused, but I didn't have time to explain. I didn't even care if he was upset. I had to get out of there before Tom showed up. I drove back home as fast as I could, praying I'd make it back before he did. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw Tom's car. My stomach dropped into my feet. I rushed inside, but as soon as I opened the door, I knew something was wrong. Tom wasn't in the living room. He wasn't sitting at the kitchen table like usual. I called his name, but there was no answer. I started to panic. Where was he? And then it hit me. He had gone to Sarah's place. He had gone to check on me. I grabbed my phone and quickly dialed Sarah's number. But before I could hear the first ring, I saw it. The text from Sarah, sent just minutes before. Tom was here. You weren't at my place. Where are you? I froze. I couldn't breathe. Tom had gone to Sarah's, and I wasn't there. He knew. He had figured it out. I didn't have time to think. I ran out the door, heading for the car, praying I could catch him before it was too late. But as soon as I drove up to Sarah's place, I saw Tom's car parked out front. He was standing by the door, his back to me, talking to someone. I didn't know who it was, but I didn't need to. It didn't matter anymore. I parked the car and slowly got out, my legs shaking beneath me. As I approached him, I saw the look on his face, the anger, the hurt, the disbelief. He knew. I wasn't at Sarah's, I whispered, but my voice caught in my throat. I went somewhere else. Tom turned to me, his eyes burning with fury. I know, Liz. I know exactly where you were. And just like that, the lie was over. I stood there frozen. The words hung in the air between us, heavy and suffocating. Tom knew. He had figured it out, and there was no escaping it. Everything I had tried so hard to hide, all the lies, the secrets, it was all coming crashing down. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. What could I say? How could I explain myself after what I had done? There was nothing I could say that would make it better. No excuse that could make him understand why I had betrayed him. I had no defense. And in that moment, I felt smaller than I ever had before. Tom took a step toward me, his eyes never leaving mine. He looked calm, too calm, and that only made the situation worse. His voice, when he spoke, was quiet, but there was a coldness to it that made my heart drop. Where were you, Liz? He asked. His words weren't a question. They were an accusation. I went to Sarah's because you weren't answering your phone. You said you were at her place. But you weren't. You weren't anywhere near her? I'm sorry? I stammered. But it sounded hollow, even to me. I didn't mean for it to happen. You didn't mean for it to happen. His voice grew louder, and I could see the hurt flashing in his eyes. You did mean for it to happen. You planned it. You lied to me, Liz. You lied to my face. You lied to everyone. And now I find out that you've been with him. With some guy behind my back. I felt the heat rise in my face. The shame. The guilt. I could barely look at him. I didn't want to see the disappointment, the pain that was written all over his face. But I couldn't look away. I had done this to him. I had ruined everything. Tom, I didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't about you, I swear. I said, my voice breaking. I don't know how it happened. I just felt like I was losing myself, like I needed something, someone, to make me feel like I mattered again. And Jack, he made me feel wanted. I'm sorry. I am. Is that what this is about? He snapped. You needed someone to make you feel wanted? What about me, Liz? What about the person who has been standing by you all these years? What about the person who trusted you, who loved you? What about the vows we took? I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes, but I didn't want to cry. Not now. Not in front of him. I had lost my right to that. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I whispered. I don't deserve anything from you after what I've done. Tom didn't respond. He just stood there, looking at me like he didn't even recognize me anymore. His hands were clenched into fists, his jaw tight with anger. I had never seen him like this. It was like the man I had loved for so many years was gone, replaced by someone I didn't know. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he turned away from me. I could feel my heart sinking further with every step he took. He went into the living room and started pacing. I stayed frozen in the doorway, too scared to move. I've had enough. Liz, Tom said finally, his voice low. I can't do this anymore. I can't live with someone who's going to lie to me, who's going to betray me like this. I don't even know who you are anymore. The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. I had always known that lying to him would have consequences, but hearing him say it so plainly, so coldly, it was worse than I could have imagined. You're not the woman I married. He continued, not looking at me. And I'm not the man I used to be when I was with you. I don't even know what we have left after this. But I can't go on pretending everything's fine. I wanted to say something. Anything. But the words wouldn't come. I wanted to beg him to stay, to forgive me, but I knew it wouldn't matter. I had ruined everything. I had destroyed the one thing that had meant the most to me. I had lost him. I'm gonna pack my things. Tom said, his voice flat. I can't live like this anymore, Liz. You've made your choice. It was like a knife to my chest. I watched him move around the house, gathering his things in silence. Every movement he made, every step he took, was like another reminder of the damage I had caused. I could feel my heart breaking with every box he packed, every shirt he folded. Finally, after what seemed like hours, he turned to face me. His eyes were empty. There was no love there anymore, no tenderness, just cold, hard pain. "I never thought it would end like this," he said quietly. "But I can't stay with someone who doesn't respect me. Who doesn't respect what we had. I deserve better than this, and so do you. I'm sorry." I whispered again, but it was useless. The words couldn't undo what I had done. Nothing could. Tom walked past me, not even looking back, and headed for the door. "I'm leaving," he said, his voice tight. "And when I come back, I'll be taking my things. We're done, Liz. This marriage is over." I stood there, unable to move, unable to speak, as he walked out of the door. And just like that, it was over. My marriage, my life as I knew it, was shattered. I had made my bed, and now I had to lie in it. I had pushed Tom to the edge, and he had finally had enough. I didn't know what came next. I didn't know how I would fix this, or if I even could, but one thing was for certain: I had lost him. I had lost everything. I spent the rest of that day in a daze. Tom had left. Just like that. I thought I would feel something. Relief, maybe, or anger. But all I felt was emptiness. The house, once filled with the sound of his laughter, the warmth of our routine, was now eerily quiet. His absence felt suffocating, like I couldn't breathe without him here, even though I had been the one to push him away. I don't know how much time passed. Hours. A day. It all blurred together. I kept replaying the moment he told me it was over, the way his eyes were filled with disappointment and sorrow. It had cut through me, deeper than anything. And I knew, deep down, that it was too late to undo the damage. It wasn't just the affair. It was the lies, the betrayal, the years of taking him for granted. I had lost him piece by piece, and now I had to face the consequences. That night, I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, numb, as my mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. I had ruined everything, and for what? A few stolen moments of excitement with Jack. A brief escape from reality that only left me more empty than before. It wasn't worth it. I knew that now. But the realization came too late. The next morning, I woke up to an empty bed. The emptiness in the house seemed to swallow me whole. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the spot where Tom used to sleep, trying to picture him there, but it felt foreign now. I wanted to pick up the phone and call him, beg him to come back. But I knew I couldn't. He had made his decision, and I had to respect that. I didn't hear from him for days. I tried calling once, just to hear his voice, but he didn't answer. I sent a few texts, just casual things, like, "I miss you," or, "Are you okay?" But they went unanswered. Each time, I felt like I was being shut out more and more. I couldn't blame him for it. He had every right to distance himself from me. A few days later, I got a message from Sarah. It was simple, but it felt like a punch to the gut. "I talked to Tom," she wrote. "He's not doing well. He's not angry anymore, but he's hurt. You need to give him space. And I think you need to think about what you really want." I stared at the message, my heart sinking further into my chest. Sarah had always been there for me. She knew everything about my life, about Tom, about Jack. But now, it felt like she was on his side, and how could I blame her? She had always been the voice of reason, the one who saw things clearly when I couldn't. And she was right. I needed to think about what I really wanted. But the truth was, I didn't know anymore. A part of me still wanted Tom. I missed him so much it hurt. I missed his smile, his voice, the way he used to make me feel like I mattered. But another part of me couldn't deny that I had done this to myself. I had made my choice. And now I had to live with it. It took a week before I finally got the courage to go to Tom's place. I wasn't sure what I was expecting. An apology. A reconciliation. But when I knocked on the door, I wasn't prepared for what I saw. Tom opened the door, but it wasn't the man I remembered. His face was tired, older, and the light in his eyes had faded. It was like he had aged a decade in just a few days. "What do you want, Liz?" he asked, his voice distant. I just wanted to talk," I said quietly, not knowing what else to say. "Please." He stepped aside, letting me into the house, but he didn't invite me to sit. He stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me like I was a stranger. "I don't know what you want me to say," he said flatly. "I've been thinking a lot. About us. About everything. And the truth is, Liz, I don't know if I can forgive you." My stomach dropped. I had expected this. I knew I deserved it. But hearing him say it out loud, hearing the finality in his voice, made it feel so much worse. "I understand," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry, Tom, for everything. He looked at me, his eyes searching my face for something, for any sign that I truly understood the gravity of what I had done. But I didn't think there was anything I could say that would make up for it. I had broken his trust in the worst way possible. I don't know if I can keep doing this, he said quietly. I don't know if I can keep pretending that everything is okay when I feel like you've destroyed everything we had. The trust, the love, it's all gone. I never wanted to hurt you, I said, my voice shaking. But I did. I don't expect you to take me back. I don't expect you to forgive me. But please know that I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake, and I will live with it for the rest of my life. He didn't say anything for a long time. The silence between us was deafening. Finally, after what felt like forever, he spoke again. I need to move on, Liz. I need to heal. And I can't do that if you're still here, reminding me of everything I've lost. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. I understand, I whispered. Tom didn't try to touch me. He didn't try to comfort me. He just stood there, his expression unreadable, as I turned and walked out the door. I had lost him. I had lost everything. That was the last time I saw Tom. We didn't have a dramatic final argument or a tearful goodbye. There was nothing left to say. I had broken him, and there was no going back. I don't know what happened to Jack after that. We didn't talk much after the affair ended. I guess he got what he wanted. Someone to pass the time with. He wasn't the problem, though. I was the one who destroyed my marriage, who lied, who cheated. And now, I had nothing. No husband. No future. Just the consequences of my actions. I think about Tom every day. I think about what I had with him, what we could have had, if I hadn't been so selfish. But I know that I can never undo the damage. And I don't expect him to ever forgive me. I can only live with the regret. The regret of losing the one person who truly mattered, all because I couldn't control my own impulses. And in the end, that's all I have left.